Hi girls and gals, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Queen Yaya here, and thank you for stopping by for another video. Oh, again, we're gonna be having another part. This is part 7, episode 7 or 8 of the Dating Stories Japan series. If you're new to my channel, this is just a series of videos that I've been doing about my dating life in Japan. I do use dating apps very much. I used Tinder for a really long time, but now I am strictly a Bumble girl because Tinder is just a lot. It was just bad. But yeah, today I've said this in numerous languages and ways in all my videos. I like older men. I don't date men my age. I have never dated somebody my age. Not in this adult life, like real actual dating. I've never dated anybody that was my age. And so this is actually a pretty recent one, which I usually try to let time go by before I post my dating stories, so they're like far out of my life. But this was a pretty recent one. I was just like, I had so much to say about it. If you are my friend on Instagram, I believe you saw my stories, and I just had a lot to say about it. And if you're not my friend on Instagram, this is telling you to follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is right here, convenient for you. So I did try dating someone my age, exactly my age. I'm 25. He was 25 as well, or he is 25 as well, because he's not dead or nothing. And so this is how it went. I'm just gonna tell you the story. I'm gonna point out specific things, Pacific Ocean things that I really noticed in dating older guys, and then him who was my age, and might I say very let me not say nothing. All right, I met him on Bumble. I did the standard messaging that I always do. I say it so many times. I'm either gonna text you, hey blah blah blah, where are you from, or hey blah blah blah, what brings you to Japan. Literally, those are the only two things that I ask, because Bumble, if you know Bumble, Bumble is set up in a way that women have to make the first move. So I'm gonna make the first move, but I'm not gonna do all the work. Just because I gotta make the first move does not mean that's actually part of my Bumble profile. One of these days I'm gonna take you guys through like my Bumble, what it looks like, and like let's do some swiping together. Let's see how I do my thing with the bumbling, how I do the bumbling. He said, oh, he's in the military here. I said, okay, what branch of the military are you in? He said he's in the Air Force. I'm like, okay. And we had a conversation. Now let me tell you, the first time we matched, this was maybe 8, 9, 10 months ago. And part of my Bumble profile, I actually wrote it there like, bro, if I wanted a pen pal, I would find an inmate who I know I can't see. I can't be with you, both of us being out here, coronavirus aside and everything, with so many activities to do, and all you want to do is text me back and forth. No, it's not gonna happen. So eventually I either, one word reply you until you get tired, or you take me out and you get to know the bubbly person I am in person. But if you don't, you're not gonna get that part of me. So he was one of those texters. So eventually I just started one wording him like yeah or lol, or like really dry texting him. So we did stop talking. We were still matched on Bumble. We were still like, the message thread was still there and everything. And just randomly he messaged me out of the blue. Like, he started a conversation and I continue the conversation. I responded to the conversation. I already had in mind that, obviously the message, the evidence of, him not, of our conversations prior was there. So I already knew, I've never met him, but I already had an idea of how we started talking and what exactly happened for us to stop talking. So we started talking again for very briefly, like 2-3 days or so, like a week-ish, because that's usually my time frame. Like, I give you maximum 2 weeks. My love language is literally physical quality time, not physical touch. It's quality time. You can't quality time me through text. That's not possible. He did set up a date with me the second time around, and he was like, okay, he wants to check out one of the temples in Tokyo, whatever. And he sent me a picture of one of the festivals that the temple usually hosts. Now keep in mind, summer is the time. It's literally festival season in Japan. You got festival, you got fireworks, you got everything going on during summer. But this year every single one of them was canceled. But he just saw these pictures online, and I think he assumed that that festival was gonna just be there, or that's just how the temple looks on a day-to-day basis. But when we went there, let's just say he was highly disappointed. I knew that it wasn't gonna be there because I don't know, common sense, I don't know. I knew it wasn't gonna look like that. I knew the temple was just gonna, be the temple building and whatever. So we went there. First of all, we got there at around 5 o'clock. So the main temple building was closed. We could just walk around the grounds, the garden and stuff. And so we went inside, took some pictures, and we just sat at the little garden and we talked for a little bit, and it was okay. And so after that, we're like, all right, let's go get something to eat. And he did not have a plan for us outside of, okay, let's go to this temple and we are going to, see this festival that didn't actually happen that year. So he didn't have any plans after that. He had an idea that, okay, I want us to go eat after. There was no place. There was nothing apart from that. So I like a man who plans. Step up, make a plan. It's not that hard. Google is free, my friend. If this is your first time hearing that Google is free, just go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now, because bro, Google is free. Information is out there. Google Maps is your friend. Don't be scared of it. Embrace it. And so we left there, and he was like, okay, so, I was like, so where are we going to eat? And he was like, we could just go anywhere. And I'm like, I don't like that. On a first date, bro, that's real bad. That's a real bad first impression for me, for what I require. It might be cool with other people, but for me, it's not. So I was like, okay. And he's not new to Japan either, because some people, their excuse, which is really still not an excuse, because like I said earlier, Google is free and Google is your friend. But some people have the excuse of, oh, I'm new to Japan. I just got here. I don't really know, how to take the subway. I don't really know how to do this. I don't really know how. But this is someone who's been in Japan for years with an S. We literally stood like in the middle of the street, and we're like, all right, let's figure out where we're gonna go eat. And I had some restaurants some personal favorites that I get on my restaurant recommendations or whatever from previous dates I've had. So I was going through my little list, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to eat, or a place that I've been to that I really like. And that was also not really too far from there, because I don't know, we were in Tokyo, so like everywhere is kind of connected anyway. But yeah, I was trying to figure that out. And one of the reasons, or actually probably the main reason why I don't like that, is because as a date, I expect the man to pay for it. First date, second date, third date, fourth date, it don't matter. You're not my boyfriend. I expect you to pay for the date. And I would prefer you pick the restaurant, so one, you can make sure it's something you can afford, and two, you can make sure it's something you can afford. I started looking at it, and then that thought just popped into my head, because I'm not gonna lie, like every restaurant that was coming to my head was like, all right, this place is not cheap. This place ain't cheap either. Like, this place ain't cheap. I don't know about it, but I looked at the menu. I didn't pay for it, but I saw the menu. So like, none of these places ain't cheap. So I was just like, just go through Google. We could go wherever. So he recommended the restaurant. We took a train to Shibuya, and we went to the restaurant. And because the restrictions for COVID had just been lifted, the restaurant didn't start. This was on a Saturday, I think, that we went out. The restaurant didn't really open to the public till the next day, Sunday. So that was a bust. And then we were in Shibuya, and he was obviously having a really hard time coming up with something. So I was like, you know what? We're in Shibuya. I'm kind of like over this already. I am hungry. Outback Steakhouse is not that far. Let's go there. I actually suggested it. Outback Steakhouse is not expensive, and it's I've been there before. I like their bread, so let's go there. So we go to Outback, sit down, we have a dinner conversation, and the bill comes, and I'm not going to say always, but like 95% of the time, I'm going to offer to pay. I expect you as a gentleman to turn me down, though. Like, oh, girl, you crazy. I got this. What do you mean? You get what? I don't split the bill. I expect you to be outraged. So I offer, like, do you want me to, go half on you? That he said yes. And like, at that point there was already so many things that like disqualified him. He was already like a 5. He went from a 5 to like a 1.2 real quick. Not in ugliness or anything, but just how I deserve to be treated. It was not. He was not doing it. He was cute. Like, I don't go out with ugly people. I'm not ugly. Why would I go out with ugly people? So yeah, people just no. And I couldn't help but the whole date thinking that, yeah, see, if I was going with somebody, see, if this was just with somebody who was like, had like 2-3 years more life experiences, I wouldn't be experiencing all of this. That honestly, that was just what was going through my head. Honestly, like, bro, I cannot actually remember no, I'm not even gonna say the last time. I have never gone on a date and split the bill ever in my life. I've offered and they turned me down, as they should. We left from there, took the train home. No, when we got home, it was like, okay, I got home, blah, 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 blah. And he was like, yeah, I had a good time. A few days after that, we were talking. He was like, oh, I would really like to see you again. I was like, okay, you would really like to see me again as a date or what? He was like, well, yeah, what do you mean? I'm like, because the first one, I don't consider that a date. You had no plan and we split the bill. Like, no, that's not a date. That was just 2 people who met up because, oh, no, baby, no. So he was like, yes, I want to take you out on a date. I said, okay, cool. And so he had this, big elaborate plan. Let's go indoor skydiving. He had some other plan. And I was like, no, I wasn't with it. So he brought up indoor skydiving. I was like, okay, that's a little adventurous. I could do an adventure, that's fine with me. And so that was said. And then he didn't say nothing about it again to like the whole week. He didn't say nothing about it. Next week comes up and he's like, oh, you want to come over and let's just cook and hang out. And I'm like, bro, we are here. That plan is like there. You have skipped like 20 steps in the middle. What? How you gonna make that jump? I know you're tall, but bro, come back to where you were. We haven't even gone on the actual first date yet. So I told him that. I was like, yo, that sounds like a good idea, but you are 20 steps ahead of where we actually are. And so he was like, okay, that's cool. He would sit and just like randomly, like the first time he just sat and he randomly FaceTimed me. And I was like, I picked up, but the conversation was really short and awkward. 2 weeks after our first date, he asked me out again or 2 weeks after our first meetup, because like I said, that was not a date. He asked me on a proper date. I prefer dates during the day. I want to see you clearly. I want you to see me clearly. I want to judge you clearly under this God's natural light, and vice versa. So we settled for brunch. Okie dokie. Now time to set up, and this is where the age different really, like the age group really popped out. I don't know if this is how all men who are 25 behave, but this specific instance is what I'm using as an example because like I said earlier, I've never dated somebody my age before. All right, so time to plan brunch, right? He's like, okay, where do you want to go for brunch? Again, asking me the questions. I told him, I was like, okay, I prefer if you pick a place. And he was like, he doesn't really know spots like that. And I didn't say this, but in my mind, I'm like, bro, do you even know how to use your phone? Do you even know how Beyonce's internet works? This is so frustrating. I go on Google and I type brunch, and I picked up one of the places that I've been to before, and I really liked it. It was a nice, fancy little place. And I sent him the name of it. I was like, all right, let's go there then, since you're so stuck. And so he says, okay, that's fine. He searches the name, and I was like, okay. Another thing that I'm not sure he actually like even put it in Google, because that specific restaurant has like, there's one in Shibuya, there's one in Ginza, there's one in Roppongi, there's one in like Ueno, there's like 5 of them in Tokyo. So he didn't say anything after that, and we were like due to meet up like the next day or like 2 days after or something like that. And I was like, okay, which of the restaurants do you want to meet at? I was like, oh my god, bro, it's like pulling teeth. I am a kindergarten teacher. I do this every day at work. I don't need to do this again when I'm trying to date. So I asked him, which of them do you want to go to? And then he searches this up and he said, okay, let's go to the one in Shibuya. I said, okay, that's fine. So The faithful day rolls around. I actually have a video on my channel, Get Ready With Me, where I was doing my makeup for that video. And I specifically said in that video, like, I'm putting all this makeup on and this dude don't even deserve it. This is the date I was preparing for. I was recording that video that morning for that date. And so apparently he sent me a text message, but I didn't see it because I used my phone to record and I didn't see the message. So I'm recording my video, and when I'm done with my video, I have like 20 minutes to leave the house. I was already dressed and everything. So I look at my phone and I see that he had sent me a message like maybe 20 minutes ago or something, and he was like, I'll be on my way soon. So I text him back and I'm like, okay, me too. And he replies me back and he was like, oh, you didn't text me back, so I went back home. At that point, I should have really just washed my face and climbed into bed. And I was like, bro, you would just sit and impromptu FaceTime me, but the day we have a date, you won't do that to kind of like see what's going on. I'm like, bro. And he was like, okay, I'm gonna leave the house again now, but I won't. We had to meet at 12. No, we had to meet at 11. So he said, I'm going to leave the house now, but now I won't be able to make it there till around 12:30. And when I got there, I just waiting downstairs because the restaurant's on like the rooftop floor. And from downstairs, I was just like, and the whole time we're texting now. And he's keeping me updated and shit on where he is and blah, blah, blah. And so I get there and I'm like downstairs. I'm like, okay, let me ask him a question. I'm like, did you make a reservation? He doesn't text me back for like 2, 3, 4 minutes, and after the third minute, I text him again. And I'm like, I'm gonna take that as a no. And so I take the elevator and go upstairs because you never know, just to give it a try. I mean, I knew the place, but you never know. So I went upstairs. While I'm in the elevator, he texted me back. He was like, oh yeah, I did make a reservation for our initial 11 o'clock time, but I forgot to postpone it when our plans changed. I was like, bro, you are such a bad liar. You ain't making a reservation. Anyway, I went upstairs, and of course the place is packed. I asked the lady how long the waiting time is gonna be. She's like 2 hours. I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that. So I text him back. I'm like, okay, well, since you didn't make a reservation, despite what I made a reservation at 11, and I was like, since you didn't make a reservation, we don't have a spot, and it's a 2-hour wait before they can be a free ticket. It's about a 2-hour wait. So it can be 3 hours, it can be 4 hours. I don't know when the restaurant closes, but it can be longer than that. So he was like, okay, so like, do you want to wait? I'm like, I'm not waiting, sitting out the restaurant for 2 hours waiting to be seated. And so he didn't really even say anything. And at that point, he still hadn't gotten to the restaurant. He told me he was like 10 minutes away or something. So I stood there and I weighed my options. I was like, all right, I am looking cute. I can take a train back home and go to sleep. Or I can make the most of the situation, go to another restaurant, one of my favorite restaurants in Tokyo actually, and still have me a brunch. Whether he likes to join me or not, that's beside the point at this time, because I honestly, like, at that point, if he would have said, okay, I'm just gonna head back home, I would have been like, I think that's the best option right now. So I'm like, all right, I'm taking a taxi to the Soul Food House. Before going there, because I am a responsible adult, I called them and I said, hey, I'm in the area. Do you guys have any empty seats? And the girl's like, yeah, we have empty seats. Come on through. I'm like, okay, cool. So I take a taxi then and I go there. And I'm seated. I already ordered my drink. I already ordered my appetizer. I'm waiting for them to come, and I'm looking through the menu, and he texts me and he's like, when I tell him I'm going to Soul Food House, he said that's gonna take me like 20 minutes. I'm like, all right. And then I'm already at Soul Food House. I've already ordered my stuff. I'm waiting for my drink and my appetizer to come. I'm looking through the menu, and then he texts me like, can I join you? And I'm like, what do you mean, can you join me? You just told me that it's 20 minutes to get here. And I said, okay. Like, and my order's already come through. I'm already eating my rib. And my drink is already there. And then he walks in. So when he came, he was like, hey, okay, hey. And he sat down across from me. And, my other order came in, and he ordered something. And we really just sat there for like the next 30, 40 minutes or however long we were there in almost complete silence. It was borderline awkward. And the funny thing about it is, not even now that I think about it, on that day, like maybe a couple of weeks before, like 2 weeks before, I had come to that same restaurant on another date. And the owners of the restaurant, like they're kind of familiar with my face. So the other date that I had come there with, like we were having a good old time, and the owner and his wife, they were like, "Oh, how long have you guys been together?" I'm like, "Oh, we're not together, bro. This is just a date." So we had a really, really good time when we were there. And then now I'm with this dude and we're not even talking to each other. So he was in the back, you know, doing his little owner things and whatever. And whenever our eyes would meet, he would like snicker, like, "Bro, like what?" This is such a difference. And I would laugh too, because we kind of understood each other. And I was like, yeah, this is not it. So he stood up now to go pay the bill. And he goes to the cashier and they give him the bill. And I didn't even say nothing because I was still like trying to finish up my drink. He didn't get a drink. So he takes the bill and then he asked them for a bathroom. And he walks away, and the bathroom is like away, like towards the elevator. If not that, you know, there's an elevator and he can't run away. In my head, I was literally like, all right, he's about to dip, but whatever, because I had already ordered my food before you came there anyway. I go out prepared to pay for my food. I just expect you to pay for it. So he goes away for a couple of minutes, then comes back, and then he pays the bill. And then, you know, we walk out of there. So I'm like, okay, you know, I'm gonna go now. And he was like, okay. And he's like, okay, I'm going this way to the station. I was like, okay, I'm going that way to the station. We were going to the same station, by the way. And so I get to the station now, and I'm going down the escalator. And as soon as I get to the bottom of the escalator, I see him trying to charge his card. And I just like bend to the corner, like, yeah, you're not gonna see me. Like, I don't even want to see him anymore. Like, I don't like. Let's just go home. Let's just get this date over with. I should have just stayed my ass at home. And he scans his train pass, goes in. I scan it right behind him. I kind of look. He goes to the right. I go to the left. We enter the same exact train, but like 6 train cars apart. And I just honestly, like in the train, I just delete his number because what the fuck was that? What the actual misery hell was that? Safe to say, I'm never dating somebody my age again. That kind of shocked me. I haven't actually been out on a date since. No, that's a lie. I've been out on a date. You know, I stay going out. Like, bro, why would I not go out? How am I gonna meet the love of my life if I don't date 100 of you at a time? And that's another thing. When we went out on that first date, one of the conversations we had was like him like asking me about, you know, my dating life on Bumble, like blah blah blah. And I was like, Bumble's fun, you know, I'm going on hella dates and it's really a good time. And he was like, oh, so you're dating other people now? And I'm like, bro, you met me on a dating app. I am insulted that you think you're the only one who thought I was fabulous and a queen and a goddess and somebody who deserved to be worshipped. And I know you're not dating only me, so don't bro, relax. That was today's story time, and one of the many reasons why I like older men. Thank you so much for watching this video all to the end. I just recently made 600 subscribers. If you're not part of the family already, just click that subscribe button. It helps me tons. It's free for you. It helps me tons. Hit that like button as well. Share this video. You know, comment underneath. I really love when people come to Instagram and tell me, oh girl, I really love this story time. You know, where were you how many years ago when I was going through this? That means a lot to me. But you know what would mean more to me? If you posted something like that in the comments. And see you guys in my next video.